In our first video, I discussed document wizards and compared them to editing Word documents from scratch. I showed you a very basic document wizard that saved the user a lot of time. In this video, I'll show you two more document wizards. One is a wizard that creates a proposal along with pricing. It's definitely more complex than the first one we saw, but not so complex that it takes a long time to create the wizard. The second wizard will be a complex example, but it's used to create a complex document. If you have to create complex documents or proposals, you'll want to pay close attention to the second one. Our first document wizard automates the creation of a proposal for a small accounting firm. This firm works with local businesses to do their bookkeeping, process their payroll, do audits, and other services consistent with a CPA firm. They generate proposals a few times a year, but it's not a big part of any single person's job. Several people could generate the proposal, and so the firm uses document wizards for several different reasons. One, they want to be sure that the services listed in the proposal are all consistent, no matter who creates them. They also want to be sure that they use standard pricing. They don't want anyone making it up on the fly for potential customers. And last, their staff is great with Excel, but not so hot with Word. So they want to use a generator that doesn't require expert knowledge of how Word works at all. So let's hop into Word and fire up the wizard.
I'll select File and New, and then pick the Proposal Generator template. Instead of just giving me a blank document, Word is showing me a dialog box and asking me to input the particulars of this proposal. I don't need to hunt through the document and replace the customer name or change the last proposal I created to meet my new requirements. The top half of the screen is asking me about the prospective customer, their name, address, and contact person. It's also asking me how they do their accounting today and why they're considering our services. I want the proposal to reflect that so they'll know that I listened to them during our phone call. The bottom part of the dialog box is asking me which services I want to propose. The wizard shows me our standard services as well as our standard pricing. I'll just check which services the customer is interested in to make sure that they're included in the proposal. Also, I'm interested in giving them an initial discount to process their payroll, so I'll change the standard payroll price to reflect that. Now, there are a bazillion ways to calculate your pricing, and in any proposal generator, that's probably going to be your most complex part. Here, I've just opted for a simple list of services and the extended monthly price. After I finish entering the parameters, I click the Create button, and the wizard takes care of creating the proposal. It inserts all the customer information in the correct place, both on the cover letter and in the proposal itself. Down in the list of proposed services, the wizard has inserted the word Required in all capitals next to the services the customer is interested in right now. I want them to always keep us in mind for the other services that we offer, so the wizard inserts the word Optional in those other services. All in all, it took me about 30 seconds to create this professional 4-page proposal, customized to the prospective customer's interests. It didn't matter which partner in the accounting firm created the proposal. We all use the standard wizard and don't really have to know much at all about Word.
That was a pretty simple one-screen wizard. It took me about 2 hours to create that wizard, but it saves the accounting firm at least 20 minutes every time they generate a proposal. In addition to the benefits of any wizard, such as a consistent presentation and a professional look, it also saves them a ton of time, which is especially important for them during tax season. Imagine being a CPA swamped from morning till night with taxes and having to create a proposal for a new customer who walks in the door. Even during tax season, you could create a professional, customized proposal in 1 or 2 minutes. That's very powerful, and it makes you look very customer focused. Now, let's look at a more complex wizard. Remember, wizards can be as simple or as complex as you design them. In this case, The company provides training services and responds to 50 to 100 RFPs every year. These can be very complex documents numbering hundreds of pages because they have very specific requirements. They also generally have some very specific sections that the proposal must contain, including potentially resumes of the staff who you'll assign to the project. It's not unusual for RFPs to ask for 10 to 20 different sections in the proposal. It's also not unusual that different RFPs ask for the very same sections but in a completely different order. In the example company, our proposal specialist uses this wizard to compile and organize all of the information into a single proposal document. She includes the sections that are necessary and puts them in the correct order, and then the wizard will lead her through the entire process.
Our example company is responding to a solicitation for training services. Again, I'll choose File and New, and I'll select the Rfp Generator Wizard. This wizard again pops up a dialog box for me. Since this is a more complex document, the wizard is going to ask for much more information. The index on the left side tells us that there are 5 screens to this wizard. The first screen is asking us details about the solicitation itself. There are all types of legal forms of solicitation can take, such as an RFP, an RFI, an ITB, an RFQ, etc. When I'm done, I click the Next button and I'm taken to the second screen, as indicated by the index on the left. Here, I'll enter the specific information about the prospective customer, their name, their address, and the contact person. Then, I'll click Next again. Now, the wizard is asking me which sections this RFP requires. I have a standard list of sections on the left side, and I'm going to pick the ones I want and move them to the list on the right side. This RFP does not require each of the sections, but some might. Once they're over to the list on the right, I'm going to put them in the correct order. Remember, most RFPs tell you the order of the sections, and you must comply, or you run the risk of being labeled non-responsive. Now a quick note about what's going on here. I could create the entire document and all of its sections and content within the wizard itself, but that would really make the wizard complex. I've adopted a different approach. Each section that I include in my proposal is actually its own separate document. So I have a Word document named About Us and another named Cover Letter. Since there are 15 sections here, I have 15 separate documents. Right now, I'm selecting the ones I want to use for this proposal. When the wizard compiles my proposal for me, it's going to find the documents I selected and bring them into the one single proposal. There are a lot of great benefits to this approach. One, if I ever change our About Us section, I just have to open that one About Us document, edit it, and save it. I don't have to do anything to the wizard. Likewise, if I ever make changes to any other section, I just edit that standalone document and it's reflected the next time the wizard runs. Also, if I ever add any more sections to my proposal, I just have to create a standalone document for that section and include it in the wizard. This technique works exactly the same with the next part of the wizard, the staff profiles. Once I have all my sections selected and in the right order, I click Next and move to the staff profiles. Not every RFP requires inclusion of staff profiles, but a lot of them do. On this screen, I have a list of all the staff I might include in a proposal, and just like in the sections screen before this, I'll select the ones I want from the available list on the left and move them to the inclusion list on the right. The last screen in my wizard is the pricing screen. Again, this could be a very complex screen or set of screens. It just depends on how much you want the wizard to do for you. A quick note, this wizarding capability is also available in Microsoft Excel. So if you have more complex pricing, you might want to consider building a wizard in Excel rather than in Word, or build a wizard in both and combine them into a single proposal. Once again, I'll select my pricing parameters for the training that we're going to offer, and when I'm done, I'll click the Create button. Since we're combining several documents into our proposal, Word opens and closes all those documents, hence the flashing that you see on the screen. But it's doing it very quickly, much more quickly than you could do it manually. Once it combines all the correct documents, it inserts all the specifics about the pricing, the customer name, etc. throughout the document, and finally shows it back to me. You can see that we have the cover letter, the cover, the different sections of the wizard, the profiles of the staff members we selected, and finally, the pricing at the end. Even though we talked through the wizard and stopped in a couple of places, it took the proposal specialist 2 minutes to create this complex document.
That was a much more complex wizard, but again, not as complex as it could be. It took me about 6 hours to create that wizard, but it could save the proposal specialist an average of 4 hours per RFP when they put their documents together. And that's the bottom line. It took 6 hours to create the wizard, but it saves the specialist 4 hours per proposal. She does 50 per year. That's 200 hours of savings in just doing the mechanics of building proposals. That's 5 weeks of her time. She can now focus on personalizing the content of the proposal to make it more effective and win more business. This wizard certainly could be made more comprehensive, although I would never suggest that a complex RFP proposal be composed completely with the wizard. I've done enough of these types of proposals to know that I still need to tailor my standard content to the specific solicitation in order to win. But with the wizard, I'm doing less or no grunt work and focusing on answering the specific requirements, which is really where our proposal will shine. I hope that the videos give you a good idea of how document wizards, complex or simple, can really help your organization. It doesn't matter if it's a simple letter, a fax cover sheet, a proposal, or a very complex document. By using wizards, you can create professional, consistent documents while eliminating mistakes, allowing non-Word users to create the documents and save minutes or hours of your time. If you have questions or you'd like to talk about creating document wizards for your organization, please contact us. Thanks very much.